I remember when I could make friends just by having one of these. I could make girlfriends just from these. These were essentially the only way you could be popular. Oh, hey everybody. Don't worry about that. It's old, so that means it sucks. It's not popular anymore, so it sucks, right? Yeah. Hey, y'all want to go ahead and go through something with me? I'm sure y'all want to think of a valid reason for me. I tend to have a very personal opinion on a certain something. That certain something being comedy movies. If you know me for a while, you might think I am a huge fan of comedy movies. Comedy seems to be the one thing I adore the most towards any genre of movies, shows, or anything like that. Goes forth. I like to watch a lot of comedy movies, comedy shows, and all that. And now, here's the thing. Why do I rate a lot of movies a 7 out of 10? Why can't I give them higher scores? Or at least lower if I want to be negative. And what's it with most funny movies I rank? Movies I tend to praise for being so hilarious. Yet I still just give them the lowest score as a 7 out of 10. Why? Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's discuss. Now, first things first, comedy is something I seem to adore the most. I decide it seems to be the case for most TV shows, as well as other things like direct-to-videos, TV movies, or anything that's not a full feature film. Since I'm addicted to watching movies, I kind of take myself on a certain path through those other qualities of media, shows, and direct-to-TV films or all that. The direction I like to take with those is the direction of mostly just watching comedy movies or comedy shows. Well, not movie, I said. Most just whenever I do want to watch a TV show or anything that's not a feature film, I mostly just choose something that's a comedy. Like for TV shows, you could take me in for one to be addicted to stuff like Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad, Avatar, or all that good stuff. But instead, since I'm on a budget and a stupid budget, and I'm just stupid, Seinfeld, Family Guy, SpongeBob, Simpsons, South Park, Cheers, Friends, that's the comedy stuff. The Office, all that. All that comedy stuff I tend to watch whenever I do decide to watch TV. Anything that's not a comedy on TV, I don't want to hate it. I don't want to completely ignore it. I just, since I try to spend as much time as I can watching as many movies as I can, I want to, tend to lay myself off of that. And the same with other things, like direct-to-video or made-for-television movies. Those aren't really part of the actual movie industry. I think I want to try and make that clear. So therefore, I just watch any comedy ones. As well as, shorts. The usual shorts you would see on YouTube, on TV, or maybe even before your movie. Comedies. Those are I go with. I don't rate them, but whenever I do decide to just watch something that's not a movie, I just choose something funny. It's just mostly because I want to try and get myself as big into the film industry as possible. So as much as movies I want to watch as possible, I keep myself at a small rate with other things. So that being said, whenever I do decide to watch a TV show, a short film, a short video, a direct-to-video, or TV-made feature, I choose the funny ones. Anyway, that's kind of off of what I was going for the point. Let's get to the actual point. You hear me talk about movies like Airplane, Monty Python, Austin Powers. You hear me say those movies are hilarious. So much. I've loved their humor so much. They're some of the funniest movies I've ever seen. And then you look at my IMDb page. If you do look at my IMDb page, I'm always open. Did I say IMDb? I'm so immature. You notice that those kind of comedies I rate a 7 out of 10. You hear me adore Monty Python or Airplane or all that, but I still just give them a 7 out of 10. Now why is that the case? I'll tell you why. There's a 10 to where I decide to not take a movie seriously. A 10 to where I'm enjoying a movie mostly because it's funny. A moment where you're enjoying the movie, but you tend to seem to love it mostly just from how funny it is. That's the direction I go with. Whenever there's a comedy movie that I seem to enjoy mostly for its humor, That's where I decided to draw it at a 7 out of 10 instead of a higher rating. Because a movie that I like mostly for its humor is a movie I really don't need to take seriously. It's moments like when you're watching a Christmas comedy. Yeah, even those. Like Home Alone. I love that movie mostly for its humor. So I rate it a 7 out of 10. That doesn't mean I give criticism to everything else about it, but it's a 7 out of 10 I like it mostly because of its humor. And since I like it mostly because of its humor, it's just not something I gotta take seriously. And because it's something I don't need to be taken seriously, that's kind of where I decide just to put it on the low and not put it on the seriousness. Because the seriousness, in my opinion, is where it goes from an 8 out of 10, which I think is great. Let's just do a whole summary right now of how I feel of ratings. 1 out of 10, my least favorites of all time. 2 out of 10, just movies that are downright horrible. 3 out of 10, movies that are terrible, somewhat terrible. 4 out of 10, movies I hate. 5 out of 10, movies I dislike. 6 out of 10, movies I find okay. 7 out of 10, movies I find to be pretty good. 8 out of 10, movies I find to be great. 9 out of 10, movies I find to be fantastic. And of course, the 10 out of 10, my all-time favorites. That's how I rate movies. You rate them differently, I'm sure that's fine, but that's just how I rate them. And a majority of comedies you'll see are 7 out of 10s. And while not all of them are because I like them mostly for this comedy, there may be some you see I rate a 7 out of 10 for another reason other than that. But yeah, majority of movies I seem to talk about a lot for mainly adoring, you'll see at those low 7 out of 10 ratings, not because there's so many issues with them, but because they're 10 of what I don't need to be taken seriously. I don't want to take them serious. I don't take them seriously, so I just decide not to call them some groundbreaking pleasures to me. They're still great movies to enjoy for humor, but since you enjoy them for the humor, the best way to remember them is to be the non-serious to you ones. That's just where I go. Anyway, now you might be asking, what about the comedies I do rate a higher than that? 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, all that. You might notice that I have movies like Ghostbusters, Ferris Bueller, Breakfast Club, all those comedy movies at higher scores. Like, I consider Ghostbusters, which is considered by some people to be a comedy film, one of my favorite movies of all time. But when I just established that my favorite movies of all time aren't always going to be the funniest ones to me. So what's the heck with that? Even though I enjoy the humor in Ghostbusters, I like it mostly for its science fiction. Yeah, the science fiction is the part of the movie that I adore the most. And because the comedy isn't something that I adore from that movie the most, it deserves the higher status. Same with those other movies, like Ferris Bueller. It's similarly most people consider to be a funny film, and I agree it is. But as close as it was, it does have some fun to its plot, and because the way the plot plays out, some good moral, some good to it. Well, maybe some can disagree, but me personally, that it has a moral and all such. It does make it a movie I think really does stand out. So I'll say that. Now, all that said, you get the point, do you? If you don't get the point, here's what I'm gonna do: wrap it all up with a big, short summary. Comedy movies are my favorite genre of movies. I love them. I love comedy. Comedy is a genre of movies I seem to adore the most. So that for a lot of the movies I watch are funny films. And you see the funny films are rated 7 out of 10. So why is that? First, talk about why you don't hear me talk about TV shows or anything else that's not a feature film a while. I only decided to watch the comedy edge of TV shows, short films, or direct-to-video television movies. Mostly because I'm on a tight ship trying to watch as many movies as I can. So whenever I just want to take a break from watching something else, I just watch a comedy. That's just how I go. And for the actual comedy movies, the reason that I watch movies, and the reason most of them are rated 7 out of 10, is because I like them mostly for its comedy. Not all comedy movies I like mostly for its comedy are rated 7 out of 10. Some are rated 7 out of 10 because they do have problems. I'm going too fast. But most of the comedies you see me rate 7 out of 10, I rate 7 out of 10 because I like them mostly for its comedy. Therefore, if I don't take them seriously, they can't be considered that series of great movies for me. They're still good movies. They're funny. I can still consider them the funniest. I can still adore them. I just can't call them my personal favorites. And the ones I do call my personal favorites, I call my personal favorites because I adore them for other reasons. Therefore, just know, even though the funniest of movies I've seen, even though I call them funny movies, yet they're rated 7 out of 10, they are still the funniest ever. So next time you hear me talk about comedy movies, just know that even though most of them, or if not all of them, are movies I give a 7, that's not me saying I don't like those movies as much. Maybe it is, but that's just me saying, since I find them to be the funniest, they are the seriousness. And the more serious you are, the more you can actually get my attention. I have all the attention I need for these funny flicks, but I just want to try to raise as many as I can. And all the funny ones I give 7s because they're at a level to where, since I can't take them that seriously, since I'm mostly tend to laugh, I gotta let that laugh stay out of what I need to adore as my personal favorites ever. I can still have a laugh to some great movies. Just any movie I just enjoy just from the laughs are considered really good. So I will continue to exaggerate my love for comedy movies, but just know that the exaggeration is the point. So get the conclusion. Hope you understand why I give comedy movies 7 out of 10s, because since I don't take them seriously, since I enjoy them mostly for the humor, they stay in the short shift. Now, I know a lot of that doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense. Like, that same rule doesn't apply for the bottom row of movies I don't like. The bottom row of movies, any movie I don't like, mostly for its comedy, still can go in any place. So, it only applies for movies I do enjoy, mostly for a comedy. I say comedy a lot. If you had a nickel for every time I said comedy, I think you could maybe help me out here. Pay me. Give me money. I need the money if I want to make this channel big, but then again, I really don't. But anyway, hope you get it. Hope you understand. We all have our different opinions, and I will still continue to love movies, especially the funny ones, but every movie's a pleasure to me. And even though my personal favorites aren't comedies, I still adore that as my favorite genre to watch for every time being. So, hope you all enjoyed. If you didn't, I'm sorry.